I always say, like, it's tough for producers. Like, Nicki Minaj Bigfoot's, like, the biggest song out right now. It's such a tricky spot because it's like, I'm losing money by the day. This song is crazy viral. I don't want to just jump into some publishing situation. What if in 3 weeks, the remix has Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar on it? And I just did a pub deal for $100,000. Like, I could have got $1 million.
Faded, this shit wavy.
Tripstar.
Hey, pleasure to meet you, Daniel Cruz. Just got here, bro. Just landed a couple hours ago. Pleasure to be interviewing him.
So we've just been chilling, you know, 4-5 was this year. Like, Youngster just dropped the video, my artist Buddy dropped the video, and then I've been kicking and trying to plant map out the future a little bit. So that's it. I'm about to check back. That's it. What we doing, Carl? That's it. Big trip. Producer royalty here.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing. Crazy, man.
Carl, why don't you do enough interviews? I'm gonna say, why don't you do enough interviews? Everybody wants to hear from you. So.
Hear from me?
Yeah.
You want to hear from me?
Yes. What's really dope about you though is that like you've done an amazing job finding people's money. Like that's like such a simple thing, but who does? Like it's not like we're gonna make you money. We're finding your money. Literally. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm trying to be the new Carl LeGrett.
Let's get it. I'm gonna say goodbye to them.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So. All right. Welcome to the episode of Producer Royalty Podcast, but this is. Bro,
hey,
this is one of my biggest inspirations in the game. I'm so blessed to be with you. I just landed in LA. This is the next chapter of the Producer Royalty Podcast. We in LA with it, Grammy weekend, and first episode we're shooting is with Carl LeGrett. This is gonna be the first one I drop too.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, bro. How you doing?
2.
How you doing today?
I'm good. The Producer Royalty Podcast, man. We here.
The producer community initially. I know you talked about this a little bit, but a little quick introduction about like how'd you wind up getting so tapped in with the producer community specifically?
Basically, how it all started. I mean, just like any other like young kid, just super into like hip hop music. Like I remember just going crazy when I got like my first like iPod Shuffle and like when I was like 7 or whatever. But it was really just from basketball. And liking hoop mixtapes so much, but like basketball, a specific style of basketball highlight tapes. And then basically one thing that they all had in common for this specific type of highlight tape, which is like its own brand, hoop mixtapes, is they only had beat instrumentals in the background. It wasn't like songs or whatever. They were probably, I mean, this is like 2008, 2010, 2012. So they're probably way ahead of the game knowing that like, it was just much easier to clear, etc. And yeah, basically from there, I just wanted to feel inspired when I was training for basketball. So I would have my like playlist be a bunch of the beats that were in these hoop mixtapes. And from there, I ended up getting myself very familiar with a lot of these producers that were the soundtrack to a lot of these videos. Shout out like Jalil Beats, who did the biggest Bobby Shmurda hit. He also did Burn for Meek Mill and Big Sean back in the day, and a bunch of other producers like that. But yeah, that's what made me so familiar with it from early on. And then I was just a fan of it. So like being a fan of anything, you just kind of keep up with it. Yeah,
because like for you, part of your story is that you were just so like you just highlighted, you were so tapped in with the community that you just kind of noticed how things were progressing. So for you, like, was it in your head, because to transition into content monetization, so do you want to just kind of quickly break down what the content monetization piece is for producers, like what you offer through that?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, I guess kind of think about it as like a month-to-month admin deal, but it's only for YouTube. But yeah, I mean, things kind of just come together in the right way. Creates a company that started from YouTube monetization before it grew up and blew up.
It started from YouTube monetization? That was the initial
That's all
launch
we did.
Of it. Really?
In the very, very beginning. Find missing money on YouTube. That's it. Yeah. So that's the genesis of Create. That's like what it all came from.
And you got to Create around like 2017 or something like that, right? Or 2019? Yeah.
Summer 17,
Yeah, and when did Create start?
I mean, like it's like Apple, like, you know, the garage days of like a few of them. That was like 2000, probably like 13, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it grew really, really fast.
So, because now you're known as a guy in the community that kind of help. Like, if anybody who has a good name in this community, bro, like I'm serious. I'm not trying to flatter you. Like, it's really you. Like, when I mention your name to people, like they're like, Carl is the GOAT. Carl is amazing, and part of it is like we were talking about off camera. Like, you help people find their money. Like, it's their money, which is like one of the biggest value adds you could do. Like, it's their money. It's not like you're making them money. There's no way you can even scam them. Like, it's like you're just making them money. Like, you know what
definitely.
I mean? So, where was I going with this? I was gonna say that I don't know where I was going with this, but what I do want to say is that, you know, for you, Create was offering this already, and then you went to Create. Like, how did you wind up becoming the kind of face of like the content monetization thing? You know what I mean? Would you just they put you in the position to do that, or how did that?
I would say like I pretty much started like I guess like the producer division of Create pretty much. So we were doing this YouTube service for a lot of different artists, producers, labels, etc. You know, a lot of times it would be like a production company or a label that would come to Create and say, hey, I have these 8 artists that I've signed and have all the rights to. I know there's missing money on YouTube. Go find it. Or, you know, it's not like I signed the first ever producer to Create, but back then it was more so like, you know, we put out the first ever YNW Melody music on streaming platform, shout out to Mark, or like did a lot of like early work for Trippie Redd or whatever. So we were doing a lot of this for artists like that when they were first coming up. And then if we worked with a producer, it was more so like we're already working with the artist. We might as well like present it to Create almost like, oh, this person's on this song too. They're probably missing money too, plugged in. But as far as like looking, that's kind of like when I came into the fold.
Okay, yeah, because you are great with data. Like you've talked about this before, and you talked about how like one of Create's strong suit is that they leverage data, probably, you know, maybe more than most indie labels. So for you, like, what does that kind of look like on the data side, or were you just kind of, you know, like how do you leverage data at Create, but also, you know, in your personal experience?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's a single person that does this now, like not one single person in the music industry. I didn't try to start working with any producers that had a placement. Like, them having placements didn't matter. That's not like the lane I was in. It was, you have traction on YouTube, you're making money off of your YouTube channel, but what's on your YouTube channel is also off your channel, and you're getting 0 of that. That's what I was doing. And it's still funny, like, if you look at any artist's story when they're in the studio, 9 times out of 10, what's on the computer is YouTube to MP3 ripper. Which what they're doing is they're grabbing tight beats off YouTube and they're ripping them and then they're dropping it as a song. If you're a producer and you've never been paid, the beat was never properly purchased, licensed, whatever, like, you're still entitled to that. So that's basically what I was doing. One thing that has changed on YouTube that was the case more often back then was there was a lot of like tight beat playlists. Like, you're a tight beat producer, I don't produce, but I'm posting your beats on my channel. There was a lot more of those. Yeah. So I was finding them. And then there's a lot of, you know, like Johnny Dang posts tight beats in his vlogs a lot. So it's just a lot of like instances like that. Shout out Johnny Dang. There's a lot of instances like that, like where your stuff is just floating around all over YouTube and you're not getting paid anything from it. So that's kind of like where I came in. And it was like, you can keep making $5,000 a month off your channel, but what if there's $20,000 a month out there for you? Like, wouldn't that be worth giving somebody a small percentage of to go get that? Yeah,
so that's like the simplest explanation of what the biggest value add from content monetization is, that if you have music on YouTube that's not on your channel, but it's your beat or your music in some sense, will help you find that.
Totally.
Is it just YouTube though? Can you break down kind of like what content monetization collects from?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess 2 things. For YouTube, it's making sure what's on your channel is monetized in such a fashion that maximizes the dollar. Because you want your music to be monetized as music. You don't want it to be monetized as just a regular YouTube video. Otherwise, you're not eligible to benefit or reap any of the rewards that platforms like that offer for your music being monetized as such. So that's the first thing. But then secondly, these days it includes YouTube, SoundCloud, and now Media Match, which is TikTok's content management system.
This is what you collect from YouTube, SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And so you can collect from SoundCloud. SoundCloud pays like YouTube does. Yeah.
Well, what do you mean like YouTube does?
YouTube pays for views, so SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I thought SoundCloud, you didn't make any money from SoundCloud. I didn't know that.
You make some money.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
make
So
some money.
you'll help, like, if let's say you were representing Gunna, if there's a Gunna leak or something like that, you'll still help him collect on that, or something. Like, even though it's not a release song, but it's like his voice or something like that.
Yeah, it works like that. SoundCloud's a bit more like channel by channel.
Okay.
Where YouTube's a bit more like video by video. But yeah, it includes all of it.
Yeah. So how does signing up with Create's program work? Like, what does it look like when you sign up with Create? And how come it's not really talked about much on the website? Like, it's not really kind of explained, and there's not like a public link to sign up with Create, like, on their website.
I think that we once had, or we do now have, like more of a like sign up to be reviewed type of thing. So that's being built out. It's being rebuilt out. I think there was issues with it when we did it long ago, of it just getting filled up with a whole bunch of nonsense. Or
yeah, so it's not like BeatStars Publishing in the sense where it's like it's just open to anybody, and like kind of, I guess, on your end, what, like, for most of the work that for you guys, is it automatic, or like you're manually claiming? Is that kind of
it's
what
a
it looks
combination
like?
of
It's a
both.
combination of both.
Yeah, I would say that like our like competitive advantage is the fact that we do so much of the manual stuff, and the fact that we do the work on behalf of ourselves. A lot of other platforms, like some of the ones that you've mentioned, they have partnerships with other companies or whatever, which is fine.
But you can't quality check, I guess, if you're saying like that they're actually, like,
yeah,
nobody's
so
actually
it's
verifying.
having partners with somebody else. It's whatever way works best for you, right? But in just doing that, there's more like the producer and the person that's actually registering or getting their money. The more like steps there are in between, people there are in between, the more difficult it is to like answer questions specifically about like this or that or this or that or whatever.
Yeah, because you guys are amazing with your customer service. Like, you're always like very hands-on with how you work with them, right?
Yeah. Like everybody, I do it in a very much so like reach out to me if there's issues, blah blah blah. 90% of the time you can get me on the phone the same day.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people get frustrated when they just call me and I don't answer, but I might be in another meeting or something. If you just text me and tell me like we need to get on that day, we'll get on that day. But
yeah, so how does it work if you're a producer and you're with if you're with a publishing admin already, and like, how does it work? How does the master collection work versus the publishing collection work? Because that's something that I still don't fully understand. So can you break that up?
Yeah, so I mean, most people are signing up to have us collect like their YouTube stuff from like their actual big placements that they have. So it's like their portion of publishing on YouTube that's generating money. If they're already in an admin deal or some sort of publishing deal, then 99.9% of the time, that publisher is going to handle that for you. In some super special cases, can be like carved out, and people have done that before because they just like rock with Create so much that they just want Create to do their YouTube, so they'll carve it out of their deal. Like I said, 99.9% of the time that doesn't happen. That also stands as an obstacle for the bigger publisher. They'll probably start reducing the advance because now there's a spot separate. Then their lawyer's going to tell them that's a terrible idea.
A spot separate?
Because now they're collecting from one less store.
Okay.
So let's say I'm going to sign a pub deal to you and you're a major publisher, and then you're expecting to receive YouTube publishing, performance royalties, mechanical royalties, etc., etc., etc. You are offering me an advance based on that. At some point during negotiation, my legal says we want to carve out YouTube publishing because we want to do it elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's something that's been factored into the advance that you're offering.
Gotcha.
So for me, that number's going to go down. My lawyer's going to tell me, no, don't do it. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So we were on the phone once and I was trying to understand, like, I was asking you, like, if I have master royalties on a song, can't you help us collect that? And you were saying that we don't collect on points in the same way that like streams happen. So could you break that down? Like, are you able to kind of explain the difference there? Because I still don't fully understand.
Well, the thing is, the master side, for the most part, is all getting paid out to whoever distributed the song. So you have to work with them to get your portion of that because it's being paid out all to one place. Versus the publishing side is already 100% bucket that's already broken up into different slots. Your publisher can then like insert your specific slot and just collect your portion. The master side's a little different because whoever distributes it, all of it's going to that spot. You see what I'm saying?
So if I sign up with you and if I'm already signed with the publisher and I sign up with you guys, what is that like? What do you guys like? How does that look like on your end, or how do you like? What are you collecting from? I guess.
So it'd probably be bringing value to your actual channel if you have one. If you have like a tight beat channel, so we'd bring value to that. I'd make sure everything's monetized properly. I do SEO on all of the individual videos. If it's all monetized as music instead of you just monetizing it as a regular YouTube video, you should get a push in the algorithm because YouTube favors music in its algorithm. And then also I can help prevent BS copyright claims coming to your channel, which you can't really do yourself. I mean, you can try to dispute the claims, but it gets tricky to do it yourself. And that happens all the time with type beat producers. Like, I post a type beat, I own it. You steal my beat and you drop a song with the distributor and you run Content ID on it, it's going to claim my video, even though you're the one that stole from me, not the other way around. So we can help prevent all of that. And then in addition to that, I can help dig up where what's yours and you still own it is off your channel. So, I mean, as soon as you do a beat agreement or you sell a beat, you've sold it and it's now owned by the person who bought it. But if you've never sold the beat and you still own it and it's floating around in all these different videos, maybe it's a leak, or maybe it's in the background of a vlog, or maybe, you know, whatever might happen, you know, you can still go and get that, but you need somebody to pretty much do it for you.
That makes a lot. I had no idea that you did that for a producer. So what if what does it look like if I sign with you, I have a big poppin' YouTube channel? Like, what's kind of the process?
Yeah. No, I mean, it would pretty much be just that. Like, I would, you know, talk you through everything. I'd partner your channel in our network.
Partnering in your network? So
yeah,
what does that mean?
in the create MCN.
What does that mean?
Like, as you grow as like a music content creator on YouTube, there are like music networks that you can partner within that you get a lot of benefits from. Things like the things that I said, having somebody tag up all your videos, doing SEO for you, protecting you from copyright claims. You know, a lot of companies can have like in your channel is now inventory to sell direct ads against. So I can probably help, like, you know, maybe we're working on something with, like, I don't know, a Coca-Cola would be shooting high, but like a Coca-Cola, or, you know, there's a lot of new upcoming like energy drinks or things like that may want to like partner with Create, and then we can sell those ads against your channel. Those type of direct ad sales have super high CPMs, meaning how much money you're going to make per 1,000 views. If your CPM's 1, you're going to make $1 per 1,000 views, which means you make 1,000 per million.
Okay.
But, you know, usually hip hop's in like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 CPM. Sometimes if the channel's favored and super clean, you might get like 6, 7. But
if it's clean, you'll get a lot more. Like if it's a beat channel and there's no like curse words or anything like that, then you'll get paid more because it's clean.
Yeah.
Ah, damn. Huh. So is that kind of why like there's kind of some type of barrier to signing up with you? Like, I had a bunch of producers that, you know, I want to bring to Create, and you know, they already have their publishing, so you're kind of like, let me look at their catalog first to kind of see if it makes sense to help them out. Is that kind of what the situation is with that? Is that, you know, it's kind of not worth, like, because people might sign up and then, you know, if you're thinking that, because like I think the narrative, and I've been telling people this for sure, and I've heard a lot of other people say this as well too, the narrative that I hear a lot is that Create will help you collect from YouTube. What does that mean? What does that mean to help you collect? People are like, oh, well, I have songs that have 10 million streams on YouTube, so it's like, are you gonna help me collect with that? And like, it goes a little deeper. It's more like, who benefits the most from Create's content monetization program?
I mean, the technically most correct answer would be whoever has the most UGC floating around on YouTube, meaning user generated content that's theirs, that they own, that's all over the place. Because most of the time, working with Create or a Create, you're not seeing any money off of what's yours that's on YouTube off your channel. So that's where we go dig that up. And, you know, if it's something super, super viral, you know, that'll be something that's floating around everywhere. That's where, like, and, you know, he's talked about it on a No Jumper before, but that's where we were like a big value add. So like Ronnie J early on when he produced Ultimate for Denzel Curry, which was paired with the water bottle flip challenge back in the day. Because that was just the song in the background of all of these videos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so all of those, and how does the percentage work? Let's say they uploaded it, it's on their channel, and it's a song that's in the background for a couple seconds. Like, how do you even like, do you demonetize the whole video? Like, how does that kind of look like on for that?
The way YouTube works is like, if there's a copyright claim on the video, then broken down based on how many copyright claims there are on the video. So let's say I made a mashup that there's a lot of channels that post like, it'll be like a 10-minute video of the top 10 hottest TikTok sounds and dances at that time. So that's going to be a video that has 10 different songs in it. If every artist has their rights management intact, then their label, their rights management company, who's ever adminning their music for them, they're going to be having copyright claims on those videos. If there's 10, each one of those people is going to get 10% of however much money it generates.
Okay.
If there's 4, then it's going to be everyone's getting 25%. If there's
Gotcha.
2, then it's 50. What ends up happening a lot, though, especially with these talented, hot, upcoming artists that are blowing up fast off viral moments, is their stuff's not intact, at least in the very beginning.
Intact in what sense?
They don't have anybody doing their rights management for them. The song isn't even distributed. It might be distributed, but it's not distributed properly. The music's not monetized as music, so it's not like Content ID is not running on YouTube. And what happens is, like, you might be the main point of that video, but there's 4 songs in that video. 99% of people might come for yours, but because your stuff's not intact, there's 3 copyright claims, not 4, and the money's getting split into thirds between them 3, and you can't go backwards and
Fuck, bro, this shit goes so deep. I want to ask you so many more questions about this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you feel like anybody understand this as much as you, like, at this point? Like, that's like public? Like, this, of course, some people do, but it's like, I want to keep digging, but like, there's other stuff I want to talk about. I know you talk about this so much.
I mean, it's like anything, like that, like, bro, the back end of YouTube and the publishing CMS is like my home. Like, I've been in there pretty much 10 hours a day, every day, for 6 straight years now. You know what I mean?
You still spend a lot of time there?
Hell
like,
yeah, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you see what's going on with everything. Like,
yeah.
That's how you see what's going on with everything. And it's cool that I'm now noticing, especially a lot of producers are getting super smart at how they're tracking things, because it is reflected on normal youtube.com too, when you see like license to blah, blah, blah at the bottom. So it's interesting that and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like rewarding. Like, I'm watching a lot of producers like start to be, they're catching on to things. Like, they might find that this artist's music video is going crazy, and they look at the bottom and it says license to beats by XYZ, Airbit, whatever. And like, they're starting to catch on, like, oh, wait, he's figured out a way to get the money off that. And you know what I mean? So it's interesting.
Yeah, because like, do you guys have access to things that normal people don't? Besides, I'm sure you could get things resolved quicker. Like, if there's a dispute or something, like, you'll be able to get it resolved because you're a creative music group, and like, they'll respond quicker. I assume, right? Yeah.
I mean, we just have access to all the tools, so we can
like, fucking with the metadata and all that type of stuff. Like, the average person can't do that.
Right. Exactly.
No. So how do you? I'd like. Well, that's going deep into how do you be a competitor? I mean,
everybody should be represented by some sort of music network in some way, shape, or form. You know, if you're an artist that's signed to Sony, Sony has theirs. If you're an artist that's signed to Universal, Universal has theirs. The publishers have their own too. Like, whoever you're working with, like, has theirs. It's just a matter of who's the one actually behind it working,
okay,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you were coming up, you were big on the type beat space, right? And you saw that was like a huge lane that people were making a shit ton of money from, obviously, in that lane. Do you feel like there's some type of equivalent nowadays that's like, yo, this is we should hit this lane because this lane is kind of maybe untapped or like, you know, just thriving as a producer, if you know what I mean?
I mean, Synthetic blew my mind with type loops when I met with him like 2 years ago, before Just Wanna Rock, before 4-1 Bent, before he just did the Ice Spice fart song. Yeah, like, bro, he was telling me about type loops. It blew my mind. I was like,
I never heard of that myself. So just that on YouTube, he's just type uploading loops. Type loops like that. Yeah,
type loops.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just interesting to see how it's like progressing. There's
it's so simple, but that's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of producers are, you know, uploading beats to TikTok and sounds to TikTok that are catching on and going.
In what sense? Like, what's the strategy that you've seen? I'm not on TikTok at all, so kind of what's the strategy that you've noticed working?
I mean, just like these super like virally, Ricky Desktop's a great example of it. He's like the example of it, but just these super virally like TikTok type beats where it's like, I don't know, it might be the sound of like a raindrop, or he has like a coin beat, or he has like a song that's like, you know, the chicken wing song. And you know, these just go crazy on TikTok, and then they're everywhere, and then it spills over to YouTube, and then it's really interesting. But no, I mean, right now this like plug and be new jazz type beat lane is like,
what's that?
Kind of like the lane. It's just like another genre.
New jazz.
new jazz,
Oh,
plug
yeah?
and B, funk.
Yeah, so
You've
that's
seen
kind of
lot
like
funk stuff.
that's a lane that you just feel like is kind of underserved, but like blowing up, and people are there's a lot of artists looking into it. So you're saying that there's probably like a good amount of area
yeah. These
for
are like
producers get into it.
these are like beats that are like as viral as songs right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just cool to watch the wave. But yeah, if you're watching like a lot of the funk stuff, plug and B, new jazz, yeah, it's going crazy. We're gonna see a lot. Just waiting like the next like month or two. There's gonna be so many like artists doing music with that style. There already are now, don't get me wrong, but it's just becoming more and more mainstream. Yeah, it's like everything, like it keeps shifting to the next.
How hands-on are, because you're an A&R, but if you had to describe, what your type of because you were talking about another interview, and there's a lot of different types of A&Rs, like there's a lot of different ways. So what would you describe kind of like the way you approach being an A&R? Like what's your role that you like to take?
Yeah. I mean, it's cool for me because Create like offers so many different services in so many different ways. I've been able to play a small role on a ton of different artists' teams, and it's just super dope to just wear that one specific hat and play your role. And I have a ton of artists who are like my brothers for real that I've like played a role on their team. I mean like Black Youngsta, ESTG, Y&J, my guys now like Bloody Emro, Duty Low from New York, etc. Working close with like Shiesty and his pops has been like super cool, super rewarding. They have their artists, playing a small role on a lot of different artists' teams. But then, like one day I just kind of looked back and I've noticed that I've played a lot of different roles on different artists' teams. And then, I just kind of looked at it. I was like, I feel like I've almost like gone and done it with an artist like all the way, but I pretty much like played all the different roles because I played like this role for this artist and I played that one role and he already had a team doing everything else. But then for this artist, it was the same thing, but I played a different role, and then boom, boom, boom. And then that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna, and I like to let things just come natural and, not force anything. But yeah, like some of my artists now, like Emro, Bloody, me and D Watkins locked in now. Tripstar, who was here earlier, that will be at the beginning of the video, like just locked in.
Yeah. Because for you, I was gonna ask you that, like, how do you wind up getting, you say that you take these small roles, but like how do you even wind up getting into those small roles? You know what I mean? Like I know you meet so many people. It's kind of like you just kind of have like you just feel out the conversation and see what do you need help with. You have kind of like, not obviously it's not a formal checklist, but like you just kind of have in your head like, let's make sure these things are intact, and then try to literally just I mean, my pops always said the best ability is availability. And it's pretty much just that. And like, I've never been, I think people get not like scared to like tell the artists what they think, but we all know like all these artists have just like 1,000 yes men around them. But I've never shied away from telling an artist like what I think, or like pointing out something that was missing. Like, with this artist, like, yo, bro, why didn't you do any SEO tags on this video? Your vidIQ score is 0 out of 100. And then they might not know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then they might be like, can you do it for me? And I might say, yeah, let's do it. And then they might give me their login. I might do that. And then that might now be my role. Next video, they just hit me and they, you know what I mean? That's a good example.
Yeah,
so it's like by having the eye for where things could be better and just being blunt about like how, where you think things could be better, that kind of just puts you in the like, oh, now it makes yourself available.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, I've done that with like big managers and stuff too. Like, you got to have like a relationship to some extent with people, because otherwise they're just going to sit back and just be like, why is this person just pointing out?
Or be Carl LeGrett.
Yeah, but that's how you get there though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you get there.
Yeah, like, some of like my bigger manager friends or whatever who manage like all these like A-list artists, like they might have a song come out Friday, this, boom, boom, boom. I might just, as if I'm working for them, send them a thing like, hey, I thought it was incredible that you did this, and this. I loved the crossover where you had, like Flo Milli Never Lose Me's having like such a moment right now. Like I might give props to like this, and this, boom, boom, boom. But then there might be other times with artists where I point out like, yo, I think you could have did this. I think you should do this. It's not too late to do this. I think if you do this like that, it'll like, maybe you find in the comments for New York drill artists, 50 different comments, love from UK, we're loving you in UK, blah, 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 blah. Why wouldn't you then run strategic ads to the UK for it
Yeah.
to serve before their favorite artists that they're already there to watch. The genres are similar. Oh shit, like, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you do that? So just little stuff like that.
Yeah.
You
You've just
pointed
seen so
out.
much. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like you just kind of you know, like an average person wouldn't even have that thought, but I guess you've just seen so much at this point that you just know what to look for. This, yeah. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Yeah, see, like I'm starting to notice that too, because like on our client onboarding process for producer royalty, it's like, you know, on this call, there's not many people that are kind of, we're one of the first introductions to them on the business side. That's like, yo, let's do a kind of evaluation of where you are in your business. Like, what could you need? And just by having a kind of like, we expect you to probably not have a publisher. So we're going to ask you, who's collecting your publishing? Oh, you say I met with BMI. Then it's like, all right, then you kind of like, all right, well, what's your goal? Then you can kind of ask all these follow-up questions that get them to where that they you know, you have an end in sight. So for you, you've talked to so many producers. What is one thing that you've noticed producers often are kind of missing in their career that they could kind of, you know, that you teach them maybe?
The most frustrating one for sure, that I'm not saying this is the most common one, even though I know that was your question, but when they think that the label is going to pay out their publishing, I'm like, bro, no, bro. They're like, no, I already got all that set, blah, blah. We just got the beat agreement yesterday. It's like, bro, they're not going to pay you out your publishing. Like, they're assigning you what portion you have, but they're not going to pay it out to you. So that's definitely one. You know, when people get themselves fully set with their PRO, they might be registering themselves as a writer, or they might be registering themselves both on the writer and publisher side independently. But just once they finish that part, still explaining to them that there's all these other pieces that you don't have set yet. What are they? How much money? You know, your mechanical royalties, what's getting generated from MLC, YouTube's definitely not taken care of just because you have your PRO intact, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah.
So, well, you said YouTube's not getting taken care of because you have your PRO intact. So in the sense where it's like, do the PROs collect from the publishing from YouTube? No, I guess you said no, because for if an artist uploads on YouTube and they use the beat, then if it's not for you guys, does the producer ever come in and collect their publishing like from those? Like, how does that
theoretically?
I know we're back in the content monetization conversation.
Theoretically, a good portion of it should sit, and then whenever you do your publishing situation, they collect from the past. The problem is it doesn't all sit. And there's a lot of different specific nuances and reasons why. So that's where you have to like team up with someone. I always say like it's tough for producers. Like Nicki Minaj Bigfoot's like the biggest song out right now. I was just talking to one of the producers on there. Like it's such a tricky spot because it's like I'm losing money by the day. This song is crazy viral. I don't want to just jump into some publishing situation. What if in 3 weeks the remix has Drake, J. Cole, and Kendrick Lamar on it? And I just did a pub deal for $100,000. Like I could have got $1 million at that point or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm going to sit back and evaluate all my options and take my time. The smart route. However, there are a lot of different spots and instances where money's just going to fly down the drain by the day, which sucks. So you're kind of left with two options. Like jump into something where you might be selling yourself short at the risk of doing just that, selling yourself short. But the benefit is you're not letting money just fly down the drain by the day. Or two, sit back and wait it out, the smarter route, in my opinion. But you are going to let money fly down the drain by the day in some of these little platforms from doing that. So that's what I try to create and come in is like, yo, do this. You're still fully independent. A lot of stuff that we do is month to month, obviously. So come in as you please, leave as you please, whatever. At least you can collect this money in the meantime that would otherwise fly down the drain.
Yeah, when you're saying fly down the drain, I know you say that. Could you repeat? You've explained this to me. You're going to say it better than me. How?
Yeah, I mean, just the nature of like the way it works is just, and there's a lot of different reasons why at this point now. You know, there's a lot of like self-service publishing collection systems now too. And that's super, super dope. And I love the fact that we're like, there's like almost like TuneCore and DistroKids on the publishing side now that people can like sign up for and register their stuff. However, when it's fully automated, it just gets super, super tricky and there's no one really like spot checking. And what I'm seeing happen constantly is like, you know, people get confused on if it's out of 200 or 100 because of the fact that different PROs work in different ways. They might be one of two producers and they might register 50% because they think it's out of 200, but they're one of two producers. And the big artist is signed to a publisher and they're collecting their 50%. It's not in conflict, 100% is collected, but you're an unpublished producer that has your 25%. It's not sitting there for you now, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's interesting.
Yeah,
it gets
that
crazy.
gets super nuanced. Damn. Yeah. So one thing I love about Create is that you guys are super transparent with your accounting and the way you have like the carbon card and all that type of stuff. And you know, you've talked about how the part of the value of that is that producers know what they're worth, right?
Totally.
Or just artists as well too.
1000%.
So is there and I, even though I'm always helping producers collect money, it's still hard to estimate how much money that you're owed. So is there any you could talk on any area in particular, whether it's a million streams will generate this much in publishing, or like do you have any reference points that you could give the community in the sense where it's like, if you do this, you'll make around this amount of money. You know what I mean?
So this is what I like to do. Again, this is an estimate. This is what I like to do. 1 million streams on Apple Music pays you probably something like $5,500. Let's just call it 5,000
for both the master and the publishing.
Correct. Yeah. In totality, let's just call it 5,000. So we're undershooting it. Spotify is more like what? 3,000, 3,300, 3,500. Let's just call it 3,000. Again, we're going down on purpose in hopes that there's more money sitting and we're undershooting it rather than overshooting it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Nobody's going to be mad at there being extra money there. People are going to be mad at they thought it was this much and it's this much. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we're saying Apple Music is $5,000 per million in this way that we're calculating it. We're going to calculate it like that. Spotify is going to be 3. Again, we're doing it to be conservative. Most people don't have access to like Music Connect and things like that where you can look up how many streams a song has in totality. Most people can only see on Spotify. So let's say, okay, I see that this song has 5 million streams on Spotify. Okay, it's a poppin' hip-hop artist, etc., etc. I think it's safe to assume it's probably doing the same thing on Apple. All right, so it's got 5 million streams on Spotify. And it's got 5 million streams on Apple then.
So you get the calculator out?
Get the calculator out, yeah. Okay. So we're gonna purposely assume that it has the same amount of streams on both sides, which means that how much money it makes per million views, 5 for Apple, 3 for Spotify, we can then just pick the number in the middle, which would be 4,000. So 10 million views times $4,000 per million.
So 4,000 times 10, is that what we're getting at here?
Yeah.
Okay.
40,000. The master's going to be about 80%. So the publishing's
master's 80%. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So the publishing's going to be around 20%.
Yeah.
So now $40,000 times 20.
Okay, 40,000 times. Yeah. So the master would generate 32,000 out of the 40. Yeah. Okay.
Publishing's 8,000. And then what percent of publishing do you have? Probably 25% if you're one of 2 producers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would say, okay, got you. That
decent
was
way to spot check it.
Yeah.
Decent way to get yourself like an idea of where you're at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know y'all probably gonna have to replay this a little bit to get that map down. But that's something.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to simplify this in like a post just to do the calculation. Because that's something that's so hard to calculate sometimes too. Especially like because one thing we're stepping into with producer royalties, helping producers collect master royalties, and like it's like so hard to really, especially the way labels do accounting. It's like who knows what they're factoring into, like what has to be recouped before the producer gets paid.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. Nobody understands. That's the thing.
Yeah,
and just understanding that you're getting a percentage of a percent.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said it best. Shit.
Who, I said it best?
Yeah, it's the information that is available online. It's hard to teach yourself it from that information online, but you know, things like this will be helpful, hopefully.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. This is bro, this is like insanely helpful. Like I don't usually learn this much on the interviews, bro.
What?
Bro, this is like the YouTube and collection space is just something that most, especially lawyers, they don't understand that shit. A lot of lawyers don't understand how to do the collection.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to say this on a platform. Let me ask you a question. How long do your publishing royalties sit for?
Are you is that it?
Yeah, how long do you think it is? Like before it goes into the black box, how long do they sit for?
I'm hearing 2 or 3 years depending on the territory,
exactly.
No? Right?
The technical correct answer is it depends on how the metadata matches up, but it's funny because bro, I've made it my personal Carl LeGrett mission to ask everybody that question. This lawyer who's the lawyer that negotiated $100 million in the last year, this publisher who has 90 Billboard Hot 100 #1s in the past 4 weeks, this person, nobody says the same answer. So I think that for once and for all, we need to just tell people that sitting back and building up your leverage is of course a great idea. Definitely do that, but also just be aware of the fact that the simple reality these days is if you're not collecting in real time, money is going down the drain. Because, bro, some lawyers say 5 years. Some people say 2 years. You said like a more common answer, 2 years,
Yeah.
maybe 3 years, depending on the territory. I think technically the answer is it depends on how the metadata matches up, which is also something to be, it's something to give thought as a producer because, well, 100% of hit records from unsigned artists come out and are officially released in the beginning as just that. They come out through DistroKid or TuneCore or whatever. Then it gets picked up by a major label. Then it gets redistributed through their system. The metadata is now changing. So it's all of these things to just be mindful of. You know what I mean?
I have no idea what you mean by it depends on the metadata, how it's set up. Like
Yeah.
I didn't want to cut you off, but
Yeah.
like I really have no idea what you're talking
Well, I
about.
mean, is the song... A lot of the songs are matched via ISRC and UPC codes, right?
Yeah.
TuneCore's ISRC codes, UPC codes, etc., are going to be different than Sony's. They're going to be different than UMG's, etc., etc. You find a lot of these songs that have, what if it's a song that has a lot of different covers or remixes, or a lot of people sampled the original work or whatever? These are all different derivative works of the same song that they're all going to have their own like metadata. You know what I mean?
Okay. Not really, honestly. Because what is it? You say it depends on how, like, what happens. What's the turning point where it's like, all right, now it's going into the black box? Like, is it still 2 years? Like, is it like after the metadata gets uploaded? Like, I still don't understand. What makes it go into the black box?
I mean, it's obviously a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Probably something similar to what you said, but you've registered songs before plenty of times. You know how you need to use the ISRC codes, UPC codes, etc., etc.
Yeah.
A song that got sampled 1,000 times, but you've only registered your portion of the original. But now there's all these child assets created from the original.
Okay.
And you haven't input your shares to each of them. You know what I mean?
Sure, but I think I would just have to see it because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting
You're
it.
gonna have to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you got another session that's coming in here soon, but this is we probably hit an hour, but this was an amazing conversation, bro. I can't thank you enough.
Hey.
This is it's an absolute honor to have you on the show and to be the first episode on the new chapter of the producer. I was just talking. Yeah, I forgot about the mic for a second, but yeah, it's an absolute honor to have you on the show, bro.
Hey man, that's good.
Yeah, I know the community learned a lot from that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So we're putting it together. Producer Royalty Podcast. Shout out my man behind the camera.
Yeah, shout out Louis. That's my
Louis be
photographer
holding it
facts.
down.
Yeah, he holding it down. Shout out Louis.
Shout out Daniel, man. The GOAT. He's giving a lot of great information. I like how he's giving it up too. Not worried about what lawyers think. Not worried about what publishers think. Not worried about what managers think. Saying it how it is.
We just here for the producer.
Not enough people do that because they're just too worried about what's going to happen from that.
Bro, and this is another thing too. It's like if you choose a side, lawyers, right? They want to represent everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose a side, then you don't have to be buddy with everybody. Like
Right.
if you're a lawyer that work with every label and every like a bunch of artists, and then you also represent producers, and it's if a label is trying to fuck over your producer or artist, and you also work with them, then it's like you kind of gotta politic a little bit. If you're always representing producers, then who is I'm always gonna be against one side. So it's
exactly.
So in some sense. So but yeah. So I'm trying to hit that lane. But yeah, that was a good closing note. All right, thank you, bro.
Here we go.
Appreciate
Let's
you.
get it.